Hey guys, welcome back to Weeb 101, and today we have a very special episode. We are here with our second
Yes.
guest episode,
Our
and
second,
we are
yes.
here with second breakfast. I don't know if I did that well, but that was the intro I had planned. And so, can you
Yeah.
guys just introduce yourselves a little bit for the two people who watch us?
Hey everyone,
Hi,
I'm
guys.
Avi.
I'm Ruchi.
We have been like digital nomads for 4 years now. We have been traveling around the world, and of course, Japan is one of the places we have been to. And like I came across this podcast on when only in
Oh,
Japan
The
basically
old
shared in the
Marathi.
story the stories that I'm like, oh, Mumbai, India, so I should check it out, like who these people are. And like I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for
Oh, thank
inviting
you for
us.
coming.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're very excited for this
I mean,
podcast.
the fact
Yeah.
that somebody saw our podcast and was like, you know what, maybe I can be in that podcast
Yeah.
is like a big honor, especially
Yeah.
when someone like you guys have already done so much.
That was not the thought when I saw it. I'm like, okay, I'm curious, like who are these guys? I want
Yeah.
to follow them rather than like, oh, be in their podcast.
Yeah,
So-
anything about Japan, we like want to find fellow geeks to geek out over Japanese things with. So for us,
Oh,
it's
that's
like
amazing. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
all our lifelong dreams. Find people who can appreciate Japan with us. That's like the best place.
Yeah, that's true. But so to start us off, can you guys like talk about how you got started? You know, this thing where like I heard you like quit your job, sold everything, and just started traveling around the world. It seems something like very scary and inspirational at the same time. So can you guys like give us a little of your backstory?
Sure. So we were living in Bangalore. I was a
Okay.
lawyer, and Avi was working with tech startups. And even though we had like a hectic work life, we also had like time to take 1 week, 2 week vacations and travel. We really love traveling to Asia, so we did that. And every time we went somewhere, we were like, this 2 weeks is not enough for us. 10 days vacations are not enough for us. We want to spend 2 months, 2-3 months in a place as long as possible, get to know the culture. No itinerary, no checklist, no hurriedly packing and coming back. We just want a life where we can just travel as much as we want to and do whatever we want to. We are not the kind of travelers who just like to see 10 things to do in a place and do those things. We like to just hang in local
Yeah.
neighborhoods, maybe meet some friends and just enjoy the vibe, like go to a local supermarket, those kind of things. So every time we've started enjoying ourselves in the place, our 10 days were over and it was time to come back home. So we thought if we can get to a place where both of us work remotely and we just need our laptops and a good Wi-Fi to work, then we can travel for how much ever longer we want to. So one was like getting remote jobs for both of us. He was already remote
Yeah.
because tech startups are way
Yeah.
ahead in the digital nomad space in India. But I was a lawyer and I had to like figure out a bunch of things that I could do. I didn't see myself growing as a lawyer in my career anyway, and I really enjoyed being creative, writing, photography, video making and stuff. So I slowly like started doing blogging for lawyers, and then I started my
Oh,
own
wow.
travel blog,
That's
and
amazing.
then the rest
That's
is
amazing.
recent history. So and the other thing was like saving as much as we could. So in our apartment in Bangalore, we decided we'll only take like a 1 year lease. We'll not buy any furniture. We didn't buy any we had like one bed and one table. That's it in the house.
Yeah, when our parents came over, like we had to buy
Oh, wow.
chairs.
Yeah, like his parents were
like-
just standing in the living room, and we were like, just hold on, and then we went and we got some chairs.
Yeah, I think that is usually the thing with like people who usually travel all around the world. They usually don't spend a lot, trying to settle down in one place, right?
And it makes a lot of sense.
That was like you can't save a lot of money just being frugal. Like it's good money, but it's just good enough to launch you off, but it's not enough to sustain your travel. And we wanted to do this for a couple of years. We didn't just want a sabbatical
Yeah.
and come back. So we made sure that our savings will not touch, and whatever we spend on what we are
Okay.
earning.
So yeah, the idea was to just have income sources
Yeah.
before we start traveling, which is not location dependent. So we need location independent income sources, which will allow us to like travel, be
Yeah.
anywhere and work. So our typical day is like any other. We typical week, like we work from Monday to like maybe Thursday, and then we have 3 days off to basically explore the place we are. But we are still working.
Yeah.
It's a work week. We do work. Obviously our dream, like yesterday we were talking about, okay, what should we be planning for the next like 2023 or
Yeah.
2024 when like all this thing gets over, hopefully. Like fingers crossed. But like we really want to just like say, okay, start from Hokkaido and like end in the
Okay, now.
Oh wow.
Oh my God! You
Okinawa.
have
The
heard
dream.
Sid. That is his dream.
Yeah,
That is Sid's
I wanna
dream
do
right
that
here.
One day, yeah. Go to like every prefecture, yeah.
You can't say the words. You can't say the word Hokkaido in front of him. He's that crazy
Yeah,
about
we're
it.
gonna talk about that. I have a lot of questions.
So the idea is to just basically be in a space where like we don't have to work like 4 days a week. I mean, it's a privilege for us to even say that, okay, we only work 4 days a week, but still we want to be in a position where say if we make enough money from doing YouTube, so then we can just keep making videos. And like you should wake up and decide, okay, should I take up this bus to this random village somewhere in the mountains without thinking about, okay, I need an active internet
Yeah, that's
connection.
true.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
The more
I think
remote
that's-
places are the more beautiful ones.
But that's cool, yeah. And what we saying?
So yeah, I mean that's how we started off, and we thought we'll do it for 2 years, and this November.
Yeah.
Oh, we are already in November.
Yeah, so we
Yes.
thought we'll just do it for a couple of years at least and see if we like it or not. There's still a chance that you might not like it and you want to settle down. But I think every year we consider it and we think we're just getting started. So this November is 4 years
wow.
of us living as nomads.
It's the anniversary.
So we
Yeah.
officially
It's a lot
Yeah.
of dedication, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
even
just
with the COVID, we were like, we had an option to come back to India, or we were like, we can just stay in Mexico. So we decided to just stay in Mexico for a bit. And even though it's a bit scary right now in Mexico, you can still do things in Mexico. There's no lockdown as such.
That's
Like, it's like common sense, like lock yourself inside the house for
Yeah.
a while during like busy peak. Don't step out on weekends and stuff like that.
that is I wanted to ask a question. So y'all are still currently working and doing YouTube at the same time, right? So do y'all plan to do that, or like at some point do you want to do like YouTube full time like most people do, right?
yeah. So right, Ruchi is full time YouTube and content creation
That's very
now.
impressive.
I still work. I still program. So that is the
Okay.
idea. Like I'll reduce my hours as much as possible over the period of the next 3 years to a level where my number of freelancing hours
Oh,
is
I
0.
see. Want to make the transition smoothly, yeah.
But was there ever a time that your work actually affected your ability to go out and enjoy in a new place? Really?
All the time. Like, I mean, we see that as a practicality in the sense that is required. That's what allows us to
Yeah.
even travel like this. So work is also important. So every time we like land in a new country, the first thing we look out for pre-COVID or
Yeah.
post-COVID days, not during COVID, is to find a cafe. We work from
Oh, wow,
cafes
okay.
mostly, so to find like cafes which are conducive for work, is how to figure out Wi-Fi. These are the two important things in the first 2 days. We land in a new place. Yeah,
that's pretty. What?
what was the question?
I just want to
Sorry, I
ask if
forgot.
your work schedule ever messed with your ability to
Yeah.
sit in other countries.
Not so much, I would say, because like usually if we know that okay, today evening we want to do something, we know that we can wake up earlier, like work from 8 to 4 and then step
Okay.
out at 4. if we want to.
Okay.
Or if we are like, okay, let's go see Machu Picchu this weekend. So we know that, okay, we don't want to go on a weekend because it will be crowded. So let's take Thursday, Friday off and then work on the weekend. So that flexibility is there for us.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have that.
I mean, we are very lucky.
Yeah.
Even in the technology world, in the programming world, having that kind of a privilege is still it is a privilege. Not everybody gets that.
Yeah, you don't
Everybody has
have to do a 9 to 5 days a week. Like
Yeah,
you don't
you-
have to be online with
Yeah.
the rest of your teammates or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a privilege which we
It's
have.
really cool. I mean, you said let's go to Machu Picchu, as if I say, let's just go to the local restaurant and eat something.
Yeah, I know, right?
So
We spent 2 to 3 months in Peru, and then we were like, oh, Machu Picchu is just in the backyard. We'll be like, okay, let's go.
it
So
was
I mean,
kind of like a
like
backyard.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, like having that attitude, we have missed a lot of places to go also in the sense
Yeah,
that, okay,
because you just get
we'll
very
just keep
comfortable.
postponing it, like, okay, it's right here, we'll go there, and then like it's time to go because your visa is done.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Was there ever a time that you were really sad that it happened, that you couldn't see one place that you really wanted to see?
Yeah. So I think more than like the work things, the thing that actually gets in the way is
Oh,
visa.
I agree. Indian visa. I spent 1 year trying to I think I went to work in Portugal for a year, and it took me 1 year just to get the process. That's why I wanted to ask you how do you all travel in everywhere around the world and not have visa issues with our passport?
So the Asian countries, especially
Yeah.
Southeast Asia, the visas are not much
Okay.
of a problem. It's only a problem occasionally because sometimes you enter and they ask you how long are you going to be there, and you say okay 2 months because the visa is 2 months, and they're like, what are you going to do for 2 months here? And that's like suspicious. So we always say yoga retreat, always.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Indian face coming
We
to do a
should
yoga
note that
retreat.
down. Thank you.
Anywhere in Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, just say we are here for a yoga retreat.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
No
no questions asked.
Yeah, but Japan visa was like a pretty interesting story. We wanted to spend a month in Japan. So when we were applying for the visa, they were like, you can only get the specific. We wanted to go from Japan to Hong Kong and then from Hong
Okay.
Kong to wherever. We don't usually book very much in advance. We just only book like maybe one country in advance, and then we decide, okay, based on the visa and the cost of the flight tickets, where
Yeah.
to go next.
Yeah.
So Japan, the embassy I think told us that you have to have a return ticket back
Oh.
to India. So we were like, we can't do that, and we were like, okay, would an onward ticket to somewhere else do? And they were like, you have to write a letter to the embassy, like to the vice consulate, whoever.
Yeah.
And then you have to explain that we are on a sabbatical for the next year.
I mean, they said you have to explain why,
Yeah.
and we said, okay, our reasoning is like, okay, we are on a sabbatical.
Yeah.
We can't say we are digital nomads because
Yeah.
nobody gets it,
Yeah.
especially in official circles.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't say you're a digital nomad, but we said we are on a sabbatical. We'll not come back to India. Then they will. When I called up the embassy, they were like, okay, do you have a return ticket finally back to India? I'm like, we don't
know.
because we don't know when we will be coming back to India. So the sabbatical might extend. So finally, they usually you get 3 months, right, for the Japanese visa. So they only gave us 1 month. Because
And that's
of
when
the-
you went
Yeah.
to Japan, like Hokkaido. That's when you did the whole trip.
I mean, we've only been to
Once.
Japan
only
once.
once. Yeah.
Like,
And before we get into Japan, which we're gonna get into next.
Oh my God! Look at the excitement on Sid's face.
Yeah, I'm excited. Do you all have you all come back to India before going anywhere else, or do you all just keep traveling?
If it's a big trip, like if we are doing Latin America or something, we made sure to go say hello to parents and friends and all of that. And occasionally we have to go to India to do some visa work. Like for Japan, we had to go back to India from, like, we were in one of the Southeast Asian countries. We went to India, we did our paperwork and stuff. So Thailand visa, for example, is only 15 days on arrival. But if you want the 2-month visa, you have to apply from India.
Oh, I see.
So you have to apply from wherever you are resident.
Yeah.
So we are technically residents of India, even if we have not been India for last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So you have to go in India to apply for visas. You can't apply anywhere else.
But isn't that a big problem though? Coming back to India after every trip you guys go for?
The parents happy that okay, like we've seen our kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now we are like we've spent almost 2 years.
In Latin,
In Latin
this
America.
side of the world,
Yeah.
basically on the west.
Yeah.
So the good thing about the west is if you have the US visa, that's like the second
Yeah.
passport.
Yeah.
So you get like access to every South
Yeah.
American country without any issue.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
And also
That's
it's better than Asia in the sense that the time periods you get
Yeah, the
is
visas are
bigger.
like 3 months,
3
6
months,
Oh,
6
wow,
months. Like Mexico is 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So we came here in March, stayed for 6 months. Because of COVID, we applied for humanitarian visa extension by reason of humanitarian
On humanitarian grounds.
humanitarian grounds because we can't go back to India. So to our home country, so they gave an extension for 6
Oh,
more
wow.
months.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
technically we could go back to India. Like we can go from Mexico to the US and US has flights
Yeah.
to India. And
but they don't know that. So.
yeah. But from Mexico we can't go back.
So you'll plan to lay out stay there till COVID is done, till the pandemic is over or something. What are your plans? Or are you gonna move somewhere else and travel somewhere else?
So we have 6 months more, and most of the countries in South America are closed except for say Costa Rica and some of the Caribbean countries. So we're not sure if we want to go right now because just safety measure from our side.
Yeah.
Even if the country is open, we just want to
Yeah.
stay safe.
So the idea is to just see when the visa ends to see if we can come back to India. So one of the big issues for us to consider is if we come back to India, we want to step out
Oh,
again.
Yeah.
What is the possibility of that?
Yeah.
So,
Maybe if we come to India, stay for 3-4 months, and then if we want to step out, can we do that on a tourist visa, or is tourism not an option?
For once you get into India,
Yeah.
we don't want to be
Yeah.
stuck in India,
Yeah.
with full respects to India. But it's
I understand. Yeah.
You're in the presence of 3 people who really hate the limitations India has. So, in fact, I started a little business selling kimchi and
yeah.
the flavored oils and Japanese curry because I was like, India needs this, and then I had to close it because of the pandemic, unfortunately. But
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Figure out a way to get some really good
Franchising.
Asian level bubble tea. There are some random ones you see in the malls,
Yeah.
which bubble
Yeah, we
tea
have
shops
the
in malls
Dr.
in
Chai, but
Mumbai
that's
and-
terrible. That's shit. Yeah.
That's not it.
We need real
That's
bubble
not it.
tea.
We need
Yeah.
some legit Gongcha level shit. Yeah.
Gongcha,
Exactly, yeah,
cocoa,
exactly, yeah.
That's what we want in
That's
India.
the amazing stuff.
So that's one of our future plans if we can realize it. We always also think these Japanese convenience store
yes.
kind of things, but for Indian
my
food.
God.
That's literally, we talk about that we're I wish we could go out and eat something in a combini right now, especially brew, because we both really want to go to Japan, we're planning to go there someday. And brew always says he's the first thing I'll do when I land
Yeah,
is
just
I'll go
run
to the
to a
convenience
7-Eleven.
store.
Just run
at the
there.
airport.
Yeah.
It was landing in Japan is one of the smoothest experience it was such a
wait,
culture
guys, I'm
shock.
sorry, I have to interrupt. If we start about Japan, we are not going to stop. So,
Let's
is there
start.
any topic we'd like to cover before we go into Japan?
So as soon as the plane is kind of on the
Mm-hmm.
runway, nobody's turning on their phones, nobody's standing up or unbuckling their seat
Yeah.
belts, and it's the plane lands and only the first few people will get up, take out their luggage and leave. And then when you're at the conveyor belt getting your luggage, there's a line near the conveyor belt and everyone's standing away
Wow.
from it.
That is very different. Yeah, here you see people jumping on the conveyor belt to get their luggage. Yeah.
is eating, nobody's like screaming, phones. It's not like nothing is. It's not allowed, but people have that in themselves to
Yeah.
behave, which is a very new
It's like a social
experience
rule
for us.
that
That
everyone
itself
follows.
was one of the most. Yeah.
So do you guys want to go into Japan?
My
or
God,
not?
yes. Let's go into
Yeah.
Japan.
My God,
Let's
yes.
talk Japan.
Let me just check the camera to
Yeah.
see if it's
Yeah.
still on,
I
and
check
then we can get to it. You might
Oh,
want
my
to check
camera,
it out.
Yeah,
I
it's
switched
on,
it on
it's
once already.
You have a this one?
No,
like,
no,
remote?
I just keep it in
for
front
it?
of me right here, so it's right out of
Yeah,
my
it's
reach.
right
and then I
in front of us. Yeah.
And I'm using an 1855 and it's on 18, and I'm just trying to catch this much of my background.
So since we were in Japan, we have always been looking into long-term visas and how we can spend more time somehow in Japan, because just a small vacation where we just spent like 1 week in Hokkaido, 1 week in Tokyo, that's really
Yeah.
of course not enough. We had that experience, but now we want to just say
More.
6 months in one city and see how it feels like, whether like the culture is still like amazing or whether you feel
Yeah.
isolated. A lot of people who live
Yeah.
there say they feel very isolated in Japan. So we want to see if living in Japan long term is for us.
Yeah,
or
but
not.
you guys, like, I've seen, like, you guys are like only in Japan fans. You guys watch like Abroad in Japan. I can say from your like fuck sake t-shirt, right? So before going, y'all already like loved the place, right? Y'all already were fans. You like among both of you, like, who is the one who pushed towards Japan, or are both of you like crazy about Japan?
So it happened out of just sheer luck. Like we were always putting Japan off. Like let's wait till we have
Yeah.
more time and more money to
Yeah.
explore Japan properly. But then we were in Borneo, in the Borneo side
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Malaysia, and we
Yeah.
just landed there, and we were planning to spend a month there. And the first day we lost his wallet. And, and the problem was that because we are always together literally like 24 hours, I keep most of my cards and
Oh
everything
my
in his
God.
wallet.
Mistake.
Oh my
Yeah. So we didn't have like anything. We literally lost all of our cards and everything. So we're like, let's scrap this plan and go back to India.
We had to because
Yeah.
I mean, at least we had the passports, but we didn't even have the money to fly out,
Yeah.
fly back,
Yeah.
or to pay for the cafe where we lost the
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
wallet. So we basically got someone to wire us some money
Yeah.
with the locals' help to via Western Union, and then we paid everyone, and then we booked the flight.
So
tickets
luckily
back.
it had been like 3-4 days, and we had only gone to that cafe every day. So the cafe owner really helped us out with like, okay, don't worry, I know you don't have money to pay us and stuff. So like, yeah, but when we came back, we had to apply for all of the debit cards,
my
credit
God,
cards,
that's
and
such a-
all of the
Oh
IDs,
my God,
They
driving
lost
license.
the license. Like,
And that's the longest we've been in India. We were like almost 3-4 months. It was. We don't mind being at home. It's fun to stay with family and friends. But the applying process was
Yeah.
so draining. Oh my God, I've never
Yeah.
seen any. Applying for everything together. It was like come to the bank, come to the branch, come to the driving, whatever. Oh my God, it was horrible. I'm like, okay, we can lose anything. Let's not lose our passport and our wallet
it's
ever.
gonna happen. The passport is, we are gonna lose passport someday for sure.
Yeah.
This friend of mine actually forgot his passport in his hotel room in Russia, and he got caught by a cop, and he had to pay him a huge bribe to get it back.
So because we were there,
Yeah, because we were applying for so many things, we were just like, let's look into the visas of other countries. So we just looked into Japan and Korea and stuff, and then we were like, yeah, let's go to Japan.
It's
If we are
time.
doing so much paperwork,
Yeah.
we might as well just.
Yeah.
like, so that's how we ended up in like with the plan to go to Japan, and yeah, it worked
Yeah,
out
that's
really well.
amazing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about like your first time, like, you know, you were telling me when you entered the airport and like felt the culture shock and everything. I seriously want to know about your first time in Hokkaido. Can you tell me about that?
If he becomes too creepy as you tell these stories, please tell me. I shall rein him back.
Hey, I just love Hokkaido. Come on, I want to hear about.
I mean, we enjoy talking about Japan,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
don't have to worry.
Yeah, so we landed in Tokyo, and we spent like maybe half a day in Tokyo and went to Hokkaido, and
We landed in the morning.
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, and we took a like train from that this was Haneda, and then we had a hotel, like not hotel, like the what is capsule hotel? No, the first night was not capsule, but we went to a hostel in Asakusa, and then next day was our flight to Hokkaido, because we randomly said, okay, why instead of being in Tokyo, we should just go somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah,
And then we
and because like we were thinking between cherry blossom season and fall season, so we felt like fall is little more unique because we've seen flowers before, but we've never seen anything like
Yeah.
fall in India or
yeah.
Asia,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So we're like, okay, let's go experience that. So we decided that 10 days in Hokkaido, there'll be no working, no.
Yeah, we really
yeah.
took a holiday, like
That was like-
a holiday
Yeah.
without working, nothing. So yeah, we ended up in. That was I think we picked Hokkaido because at that point of time the
Fall is just arriving.
was just
So
arriving.
fall
in
comes
Hokkaido.
through from the north and moves down to the south. So we
Yeah.
thought we'll just go to the north first and then travel down
Yeah.
with the fall. So we can see Mount
Yeah.
Fuji and stuff in the fall as well.
Oh,
So we ended up in. That's how we ended up in Hokkaido,
Yeah.
and we were Hokkaido was a week.
a week, yeah.
Yeah.
And which city did you all go to first?
So we landed
Oh,
in
okay.
Sapporo. And Sapporo, I would say I really prefer it to Tokyo, honestly. It's
I agree with you.
Something about that.
Oh my God, Sid, calm down, calm down.
I'm just continue. Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Like the tram running through the city, and the cities, it's a little less it's smaller than Tokyo, and it's a little less crowded also, so less tourists also, because they just land in Sapporo and do other things and just leave. So felt like Sapporo had a very nice vibe, and we are like really big on cities. Like sure, nature is great and mountains, villages
I mean,
are
that's
nice.
an escape, but
Yeah,
we still
but the culture of a country is definitely in the cities, and we love
Yeah.
there's no country that we would not spend time in the capital city or one of the most like top
prominent
cities in that
cities.
city.
Yeah. So we landed in Sapporo, but we immediately went to BA, which
Okay,
is
oh,
no,
wow,
not
yeah,
BA.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, we went to Otaru. Otaru.
Oh, Otaru. Oh, that's cool.
We went to Otaru, and because we planned to end in Sapporo, so we directly took a train from like from the airport to Otaru. Otaru is really nice.
Yeah, it's a port city, so it's by the water, and
and
Oh, wow.
it has really interesting like those buildings for architecture, because they all used to be warehouses for.
Oh yeah, along the canals, right? Yeah.
So
So-
it's a very interesting city. It's like very little tourists, and they have this one soba noodle place which is famous. Like they grow the soba there, and it's
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, so that
okay,
was
now
like
I'm
one
starting
of
to
our
get too
first-
interested.
before this we were just grabbing like things to go in all the konbinis and stuff like that, because you can get a complete meal in a konbini. You can get like a beverage,
Yeah.
a starter,
you can
and,
eat the whole day.
yeah.
So,
And the packaging is so
definitely.
great. Like even if you want a rice and a curry, you can just like it just opens up into a plate.
So wait, are you guys vegetarians or are you non-vegetarians?
so when I was in Japan, she is a non-vegetarian. She
Yeah, I
has
eat
been eating
everything,
everything forever. And I was a vegetarian for life. And in
Okay.
Japan
Then you
was
met
my
me.
and then the Japan was a transition. Like I only had
only
meat in
even-
broth.
Yeah, even before that, like in Asia, he would not eat the pieces, but he could eat the broth, or he could eat like anything
Like soups and stuff,
which
which-
didn't have bones. He could try to eat it.
Yeah, where I didn't recognize.
Oh.
Okay, it's meat. I was okay with it.
And you enjoyed it, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of non-vegetarians say that, okay, oh, you're missing out if you're not eating non-veg food. I don't completely agree with that. It's a different dish. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not missing anything out.
But some things culturally you are missing.
Yeah, I mean, that is a different perspective. Like if you are going to a country which is like heavily, like for example, every country in Latin America, and if you don't eat
Yeah.
meat, you are missing out on the culture and the
Oh,
food
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Japan I started eating ramen, and like I didn't mind chashu in it. so,
So he would take a bite of it and he would just pass it on to me, but he would eat the broth.
So
That is cool. Yeah.
yeah, the soba experience was the first experience for us, like a sit-down experience in Japan.
Like when you take off
Yeah.
your shoes and then you sit on the tatami mats on the floor, and it was something else.
It's an incredible experience.
And you can
for
hear
sure.
sounds of slurping. Nobody's really talking loudly, but there's
No,
Oh,
I think the only experience we have that can even slightly relate is when we went to a Japanese restaurant in Mumbai.
Oh yeah, we did,
And we
yeah.
sat without our shoes on, and we both were like, wow, this is so cool.
You will enjoy Mexico City a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Japanese here, like second generation Japanese, third generation
yeah.
Japanese.
So we have like one of these stores which sell all sorts of like Japanese konbini store things. Like they make it here.
I mean, we can now actually
So-
step out and get an onigiri.
Yeah, we
Like,
somehow
wow.
luckily our house is like down the road from there. So it's not like a konbini, but it's like a Japanese store with like they have Japanese groceries. They even have like fresh produce like Japanese pumpkins and bok choy and stuff. And they also have like packaged goods, ramen and things. And they have like a small like daily konbini thing. So if you go before lunchtime, you'll get some stuff. After lunchtime, everything sells out. There's quite a few Japanese
Wow.
in Mexico City, which we are very happy
Yeah.
about.
So yeah, coming back to
I mean
our
that-
story. So we
Yeah.
basically that was our first experience, soba noodles experience in a sit down experience in Otaru, and then we ended up in this hostel which was run by this very old lady who was a huge baseball fan. Like all the whole place was like. I mean, we are not into sport that much, so. And definitely not into baseball, so we didn't know anything about it, and then we realized like baseball is huge.
Yeah, she was like
in
60
Japan.
plus and she would wear like her baseball outfits,
Jersey,
like
yeah.
jerseys every day. And every night she would like pour herself some sake and sit in front of this big flat screen TV.
Watching like baseball matches live and stuff, and then we are like. We didn't know Japanese back then. We don't now either, but we are trying to learn. And then we used to sit down and like watch with her.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah.
So it was Otaru was really fun. Like we were there for 2 days.
Is it your favorite city in Hokkaido, or is there some other place that you enjoyed more?
I would say Sapporo. It has like
Sapporo.
yeah.
I mean, it's more city. That's
Yeah.
why. So
Yeah.
Otaru is like a little town. So
It's really well planned, right, Sapporo?
yeah.
Someone in Sapporo, they told us like go see the university. Sapporo, Hokkaido University in Sapporo. So we went and it was like amazing, the fall colors in the university. And you could see all these students, they would just walk into these like canopy of trees and then just look up and just close their eyes and relax. So Japanese people, you think that these are just things they tell you, but in Japan, people really love nature. Like it's almost like they're just stopping to pray for like, oh, thank you for.
Oh wow. Yeah, that also seems very anime. Yeah.
Like, have you heard of Shirin Yoku?
Shirin Yoku. No. What's that?
It literally translates to forest bathing.
Oh.
So you just stand in the forest and let the forest energy kind of cleanse you.
Oh, it's a part of nature therapy? Is that the one?
So you just sit in nature and you spend time in nature, kind of almost meditative. So it really re-energizes you. It shows you appreciation for simple things like nature that you didn't do anything for, but it's there. And people are really into it. Like we didn't see so many kids obsessed with phones and stuff.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that they are really enjoying their fall colors.
So in the university, there's this road called Ginkgo Avenue. So the whole road is basically ginkgo trees.
Yeah.
And they turn every leaf in those trees turns yellow.
Yeah.
In like together. So the whole tree is yellow. And then imagine a video of like ginkgo trees.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful. Like we had never experienced something like that. So yeah, Sapporo. I don't know how I will handle the cold. I'm from Bangalore.
It was really cold, right? Or not?
No, it
And
was
it was
cold,
rainy
but it was
also.
rainy.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was now, like during October, November. So it was not yet cold, but
I mean, it was not yet snowing. So the snow comes after the fall. So we were like, we just only came for the fall. We didn't stay long enough to see snow.
Yeah, but we did make it to the Apple wallpaper place, the pond, the blue
Yeah.
pond near BA. That was fun. We
Yeah.
stayed in an onsen there.
Yeah.
Oh wow! And how did you all go into the onsen? How was the onsen experience for you guys?
In the onsen, you have to be like completely naked,
Yeah.
and that was like a very. It's a little bit awkward for us because you have to be naked with strangers, and they don't seem to mind it at all. It's like completely okay there, and it was separate. Like the ladies' onsen is different from the guys' onsen. So we thought, okay, we'll wake up early in the morning and see if we can go without when there's less chance of people like being around. But turns out that was like a slightly fall season where there was no one in that guest house. So we had the whole onsen to ourselves.
So there's the transition period in the sense that the fall was done and almost getting into winter. So that's when we went.
So that I think those 2 weeks they didn't have a lot of tourists.
So we got the whole onsen to ourselves.
Yeah.
So there's no awkwardness, and we had an amazing time. And
perfect, yeah.
there was a wall between the men's onsen and the women's onsen, and which is like, knowing walls in Japan, they're very thin, so we should just shout things to each other.
Probably the only time we shouted in Japan or spoke louder, actually, not even shouted. Yeah.
That was like whole Hokkaido experience for a week was incredible. Like we would want to go there and stay for 3 months for sure.
Oh, y'all are definitely planning to go again, right? Like your long trip from the north to from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, you would like just go for the ice cream, man. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, I've heard the milk is like amazing, and so the ice cream is.
They
also-
produce a lot of the milk in Japan, so the quality of the cheesecake and
I mean, I've not seen that kind of quality anywhere else in the
No.
world. In the world, not even Japan.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we said, this will be amazing. Like usually you hear like, okay, you must eat that. It's amazing and everything. Yeah, it will be amazing. You appreciate it, but it will not blow you away. But
everything in Japan, because they are so particular about doing things perfectly, like they strive to reach that level of perfection for everything. Even if you go to a random ramen shop in the mountains, there's no one there. Some old grandma is making the food, but it will definitely blow your mind because it's that good. Like they really value doing something well. You can tell that they wake up every day and they want to achieve perfection. Maybe not really good for your mental.
Yeah, very easy to burn out when you're like that.
Yeah.
Because Japan does, that's one of the things we noticed, that they do have a lot of issues with mental health and how they treat it, but the people really, culturally, they're not individualists like the rest of us.
Yeah, it's a collectivist society, right? They don't like to stand out.
yeah, that's the first thing hits you after you spend like 24 or 48 hours. Like you can clearly see that the collective mindset rather than individualistic mindset, and it has its pros and cons. But I feel I mean, that's the only place we have traveled so much. That's the only place which has that mindset we have seen. Like everywhere else, it is an individualistic society. Whichever you take, that's what kind of makes Japan unique. I know if we spend a year there, we'll start experiencing the cons more. Like initially it's all rosy and stuff, but so that's why we do want to spend like a year and a half, the whole seasonal cycle, and see how we feel about it if we ever want to move to Japan.
But it sounds like Japan has a lot more pros than it has cons from the things we
For
see.
us, like for sure.
Yeah, especially like you haven't gotten into like the work culture, which is like one of the major issues in Japan, right? So,
I mean, if you don't work for a Japanese company, cool.
Yeah. You can do your own thing. And it also turned you into a non-vegetarian, surprisingly.
Yeah,
But we agree with you, by the way. Even we think that vegetarian food is very good on its own. You know, being Indians, we know how good veg food can be. Yeah.
So that's one thing, being Indians, that surprised us a lot, is we use a lot of spices for flavor. So like a lot of our food is like in different regions there'll be a different use of spice or chili. But in Japan it's very mild. So if you are if you're not going with an open mind, you might feel like, okay, this is bland. Because like tempura is very similar to a pakoda, but pakoda has all the spices, but a tempura batter is just salt. So it's just that you have to keep an open mind and appreciate the subtleness of all the ingredients, the quality and everything, and it's actually really good. So I really love spicy food. Like my spice tolerance living in Thailand and Vietnam was
Amazing,
like
yeah.
the shop ladies would just, the regular places that we would go to, they would just bring us the chilies in vinegar and soy sauce, and they would be like, just finish it, because they knew that I'm eating so much soy sauce. But in Japan, and I thought in Japan I might miss like,
Yeah, by the way, she did eat sushi in Japan.
yeah, we didn't eat sushi in Japan. Somehow we never,
What?
Yeah.
somehow we never got around to
That's
it.
what everyone goes there. Most
Yeah,
people, I would say.
every Indian I talk to who knows Japan is like sushi. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
were
all they
So
know
much,
actually. Yeah.
We were
Well, it's
surprised
actually
we found so
a good
much
thing
to
then.
eat which is not sushi. We were, because before
Yeah.
going to Japan I didn't like sushi. I didn't enjoy that.
That's because of a Japanese restaurant in Bangalore. She went and ate sushi there and like got sick.
So that time he was like okay with his rule with meat was like Japanese food I can eat meat, but so he ate the sushi with fish. And
So-
he was fine, but I was like, I had like a serious case of like food poisoning or something. So I was like, okay, this is not fair. I'm the non-vegetarian. But then, so I didn't like sushi for a long time. So in Japan, I was like, okay, maybe I'll not enjoy the food. It'll not be spicy enough and be bland and stuff. But the food is insane. Like, just for the food alone, I could just go to Japan.
And cheap. Like
And
the
cheap,
other
Oh.
misconception is like people think Japan is very expensive.
Yeah.
The accommodation is
Yeah.
expensive. Transport, like private transport, is expensive. But if you, accommodation, of course, you can't avoid it. But if you can go to smaller places, accommodation is cheaper. But in Tokyo, you can definitely avoid private transport. Like in most places, you can avoid private transport. Food is really cheap. Like I don't know what people complain about like Japan being expensive. It is
So
not.
one onigiri
Yeah.
was like 35. So it would be like 70 Indian rupees.
For
One onigiri, like a rice ball. So
Wow,
that's
that's great, yeah.
you can eat like 2 of them, and that's a great meal. 2 with like a coffee or something. It's a great meal.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do in India as well. We make furikake here and we have it with our
Yeah,
food.
we try to
we make
make
chili
Japanese
oil,
food,
we
yeah.
make Japanese curry, all that.
We spent
It's-
months like trying to make ramen. Like Brew used to make the noodles from scratch, and we made our own like version. It was because we really love Japanese food and we try to make it on our own.
Yeah, I got a noodle machine which just I would just keep using it and overwork it. We were obsessed with ramen.
The thing that also surprised us was how even in the little konbinis and stuff, you get a balanced meal. Like you can buy like a salad plus some rice dish plus some protein and a beverage.
Yeah.
And you have so many options. So that is something that there is McDonald's and KFC and all of that, and there are some young people who are really into that. But more or less, like I would say 99% of the time, people, all their options, even their crap options that you just want to eat like a piece of cake or something, is well made, and it has there's more healthy food options than
even
crap options.
in a convenience.
Like even if you go to a vending machine, you see that there are several options which are sugar free or just like lactose free or whatever.
Yeah.
So
you
it's
can
not-
live off of only
Yeah.
going to
Oh, yeah,
convenience,
definitely.
right? Yeah.
Definitely.
And there's people
Yes,
like
this
you
is
see
my
videos
dream.
on
This is
YouTube.
what I'm going to do.
People have done like vegan only, vegetarian only, or keto only diets just off of konbini food. So it's actually really versatile food.
Wait, did you also say vegan only because my family is vegan and that's
I mean,
It's
it's hard.
because some things they don't translate well. Like if it
Okay.
has sometimes if it's meat, it's different from seafood. So if you just say no
Yeah.
meat, you have to say no meat, no chicken, no fish, no egg, and
It's hard.
Yeah.
But it's not. There are other places in the world where it's easier to be a vegan
Yeah.
than in Japan.
yeah. But like you can eat a plain onigiri with soy sauce
And
you
salt.
and you can eat like edamame and
Yeah.
those kind of like carrot rolls and stuff if you're vegan.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, everyone around me thinks I'm going to try meat if I go to Japan. I'm not sure why.
You are, I know.
Oh, you're a vegan or a vegetarian?
I'm a vegetarian, but my family is vegan.
Yeah.
So I live with my family now. They've been vegan from 2012, and I love to cook. No, nothing at home. So
No, but like in general, like if you go out, do you eat?
yeah.
no, I only have cheese and butter. Those are my main two
Okay.
things that I can't live without.
I mean, if you
So-
really want to experience like food in Japan, unfortunately, you
I
need
think
to
for that 1
at
month
least
you
eat
should
it.
you should just be like
No, but you can't just like
Just-
randomly turn it on, right? You just basically have to ramp it up.
Yeah, because your body is
You
not
just
used
move
to it at all
Japan
for so
a while
long.
then like go to Japan for 2 months
Yeah,
and
you
ramp it up in Japan.
No, then you are losing time. You have to ramp it up in India and go there and make the best out of it. Like
I'm sure he'll like it. Yeah, I'm sure Brew is gonna turn into a
Sid is
non-vegetarian like you are,
convinced
Avinash.
that I'm going to have. Sid is convinced.
Yeah.
The best thing by far I would say in the konbini store is this egg sandwich. Japanese
Oh,
egg
I
sandwich.
love
Is it the egg salad sandwich?
Yeah.
Yes. You see like
Oh my
iconic
God, yeah,
versions of it in anime and stuff, right?
We
Yeah.
see it a lot. Yeah. And also, I lived in Singapore. Like I studied there for a year, and I used to every time for lunch I used to have that egg salad sandwich from 7-Eleven in Singapore. I love that. Yeah.
I mean that's
so
but it's
nice.
different from like Japanese egg
Yeah, I can imagine it
Yes,
tastes
because
different.
they
Japanese
use
eggs
the
are
Japanese
different,
mayo,
right?
which is different from the mayo outside of Japan.
Oh yeah.
Japanese
yeah.
mayo has dashi in it.
So, so the flavor changes and the sandwich flavor changes
Yeah.
because in Japan.
Becomes much better, definitely. Yeah.
So, but for vegans and vegetarians, even vegans, the best thing in a kombini is ume onigiri. Like the
Plum.
plum
that
onigiri.
that
is
sounds
the
great
best.
to me right now, even without anything else.
The plum
Or
onigiri.
maybe
Plum tastes
if
like
they have. Go for it, sorry.
Indian lemon pickle. It really because it's a pickled plum, so it tastes very much
Yeah.
like lemon pickle. So imagine like
Oh, wow.
soft
Okay.
rice with pickle. It's really good.
No, but that's the thing. If I can take meat which has been put in a sauce, I can take the sauce and give Sid the meat. So that way I can still eat rice and the sauce. I just won't be eating the meat.
Yeah, you are in
Yeah.
you are in the broth level stage where I was like, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind the broth, but don't show me any pieces in it. So,
Yeah, and soon it'll be like pieces but not bones. And then you'll be like one step ahead, you'll be fine with bones. When we came to the US, the worst thing was like in Asia we have such amazing meat dishes, and he was like no, I can't eat anything with a bone in it. I want boneless meat. And then we had like we were in my cousin's house in one of the suburbs in the US, and we're like just order Pizza Hut because we have amazing options in the US, right? So
Yeah.
we got Pizza Hut chicken wings, and he's like, okay, then he's eating chicken wings from Pizza Hut.
yeah, that's my introduction to
My
like
God.
And I'm like, this is
What a
really bad.
transition.
This is terrible. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the next time you go, you can actually enjoy more food.
Oh yeah,
in
I'm looking
Japan.
forward to like going back to Asia now that I like eat meat. Even actually India. Like I grew up in a very vegetarian
Oh, yeah.
family and stuff. I've not. The first time I ate chicken biryani was in Mexico.
Oh,
What? Oh.
So
how was it compared to the real deal?
Well, it was made by an Indian, like
Yeah.
a Tamilian. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was fantastic. I really liked it. But I do want to come back to India and experience the other half of the cuisine, which was like shielded for me. So
Yeah.
now I want to experience that.
Oh, I've fought a lot with my friends. I like to cook, so I say veg biryani exists, and my friends are like, no, that's pulao. Veg biryani does not exist. And
I don't know. I don't want to get into that argument because veg biryani is its own dish.
Yeah.
So you just have to
Yeah.
consider that.
no, they don't appreciate it. They don't count it as its own dishes. They just say no, it doesn't exist.
The original dish had meat in it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Of course, you can make anything be vegetarian with like mock meat or.
No, that doesn't mean that vegetarian biryani doesn't exist. It does.
it does,
exist.
but the original is.
Okay, we are veering off of Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to ask you all. So like, food is cheap. You can live and travel. So like, did you all take the JR Rail Pass to travel around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a whole. You got to get it. Otherwise, you will not get the complete Shinkansen experience.
Yeah.
In the sense that we took the Shinkansen from Hakodate, Hokkaido, to Tokyo. So that was a
Okay.
long ass Shinkansen ride.
Oh my
But it was just 4 hours.
Yeah, but it was just 4 hours. But it was like for the Shinkansen, it was a long ass. But that itself, for both of us, would have cost like 40,000 rupees.
Oh my god.
Like that one journey. So but the JR pass is 30K per person. But we
But
got it
you
for
have
30 days.
Yeah, and you have to get it before you enter Japan. So you should get it. It comes in the mail. So we were in Malaysia before heading to Japan, and it came to our apartment in Malaysia. So you have to,
Oh.
Oh wow.
and then you have to. When you land in Japan, the first day you go to one
Correct.
of the offices in any subway station or any.
Actually, no.
Train station.
You have to go to Ueno or Tokyo
Yeah,
Station.
okay, just 2 of the stations, and you have to get it activated.
So the pass begins on the day you get it activated.
Yeah.
And is valid for the length of the pass. So we
Yeah.
got it for 30 days and it cost us $500 each.
No,
So,
together.
yeah. No.
70K together. Yes.
Yeah, so $500 is 35K.
Oh, $500 just 35K?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we spent $1,000 on the
Yeah.
JR pass, but yeah, it's worth it. I mean, of course, it's cheaper if you are taking for the smaller periods, but like 7 days and stuff. But we made complete use of it.
But like the train,
Yeah.
train rides, whether like the local subway or even the interstate trains or the Shinkansen, it's definitely an experience. Like, it's very much a part of your Japanese experience. So we're like, it's worth it to just take it this one time. And
Yeah.
maybe next time if we are going longer, we have to figure out how to do it, because this is a pass that's only available for tourists. Locals can't buy this pass, right?
But that has changed.
Yeah.
This
That has
year.
changed.
Like last week, only in Japan got the pass.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I saw
But-
that. Yeah,
you can do it now.
That's awesome though.
But
Yeah.
Japanese can't. But the foreign people in Japan can.
Yeah, the train station experience was like coming from India, where our train journeys are especially unique and something.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that is a nightmare.
So,
It was a nightmare before COVID. I don't even know how it's going to be after COVID.
exactly. So it was
It's
really
still
nice
worth
to see, like you
experiencing,
buy
yeah.
your
It's
bento
funny.
box, you buy your bento box before you board the train, and then
Yeah.
like everything is so seamless, like putting away your luggage and sitting in the train to just when the train starts, start eating your food. It's amazing. I loved it.
I mean, I don't think. They would have gotten every 10th stream only in Japan is him being in a Shinkansen.
yeah,
So-
and eating.
exactly.
So I mean, we would love to go actually to go Japan and do live streams like him. Like he inspired us to do live streams here in Mexico City. We started doing like very similar live streams here, but we would love to go do that in Japan someday.
Yeah, I
My
think if
God,
you're
live-
planning, you'll definitely, and that'll be amazing. People love watching Japan, from anywhere,
Yeah.
all around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm not a person who takes photos of myself, but I will do live streams in Japan if I go there. That's just that good.
But we feel like with Mexico, a lot of Americans are interested in Mexico, because even
Yeah.
being so close in the same continent, Mexico to the US is like just narcos and tacos, right? So they believe that, so they have that image that media feeds them about Mexico. But I would say a lot of places in Mexico are safer than the US. Like at least you can send your kids to school in peace, right? That's it's something to joke about, but in Mexico, you if you don't get involved with the wrong crowd as a tourist and as a foreigner, you are not likely to. You should be fine. But there are a lot of foreigners, especially Americans, who come who like to
Yeah.
gamble or get into prostitution and stuff like that. So that's when you know you are in trouble with people who have money. So If you stay out of those things, enjoy the food. And Mexicans are so friendly.
Yeah, I mean that's the difference between Mexico
And Mexicans love Indians.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
Oh
just
wow.
love Indians.
Like
We jokingly call it brown fever, like you guys have brown fever because the way you love Indians so much. They love everything to do with Bollywood, dressing up for Indian festivals. Like in Dashera recently, if you go, there are temples here and you'll see so many Mexicans wearing saris and kurtas. It's like, oh, this is more than India, okay? This is,
Yeah,
you love it.
That's
That's
surprising.
surprising. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I was talking to my friend. Probably the only place you will feel like Indians will feel like home and not face any kind of racial discrimination or racism or is going to be Mexico because we are all the same color. Actually, if Ruchi wears the local Mexican like tops and stuff, she looks like a Mexican. The people will come and
Yeah, they just talk to me in Spanish.
So-
And they assume like he doesn't know, but they just assume I know Spanish.
Yeah, I think I have too much facial hair to be a Mexican. But yeah, like probably this is the only place in the world where you will really blend in as an Indian.
Yeah.
Like you are like it's very rare they will like look at you and say, okay, you're different. Like
I see. Yeah.
probably it's
Yeah,
the
Surprisingly wholesome community for Indians.
Yeah. Mexico City is surprisingly diverse in the sense that there's a lot of Koreans, Chinese, and
Of course,
Japanese.
Japanese.
They came from the one of the first Olympics, like the previous Olympics in the 1970s, I think.
1970s. Yeah.
Yeah, the Olympics had been hosted by Japan, and the next one was supposed to be in Mexico. So Mexican government asked Japanese to help us set it up. So a lot of Japanese came, and then they just decided not to leave.
And there are a lot of
Car companies.
automotive companies are here, like Kia.
Now we might have to just leave, and we had no idea a week ago it was happening.
We might have lost some footage. But anyway.
That's okay.
Okay, that's
I shall edit it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, so when we came out of the salt flats, we were like, okay, it's getting crazy. Things are like we're like, people are starting lockdown and stuff in Bolivia also. So it must be like pretty serious. And then after that, I think we didn't want to stay in Bolivia because there's no way out of Bolivia. Like you have to either go to
Yeah.
Peru or Brazil because Bolivia doesn't have international flights directly. So we decided we can't be stuck in Bolivia. So we came to Peru, and Peru is supposed to give us 90-day visa, but they gave us 5 days because they're obviously like, yeah, they write the number of days on the immigration
Okay.
stamp on your
Stamp, yeah.
passport, and usually they ask you how long are you going to be here, and you say 2 months. They'll just give you 60 days or 90 days. But they gave us literally like 5 days. Actually, we went to different counters, and they gave him 6 days, and they gave me 5 days. It was
What?
obvious, like, okay, just clear out. Just you can't stay in Peru during the pandemic. So from Peru we went to Panama, and Panama is like pretty strict. So we decided that we'll not do Panama also. And we were actually thinking Argentina or Chile, but Argentina and Chile had already closed their borders. So we're like, okay, from Panama we came to Mexico, and when we landed in Mexico we were like really nervous. They might not allow us, or they might just say, why are you here in the middle of the pandemic and stuff. And when we landed in Mexico immigration was like, bienvenidos, welcome to Mexico. And they stamped us in 6 months, no questions asked. So we're like, okay, Mexico's attitude is going to be super chill. Yeah, and it
It
has.
seems like you're really enjoying. Yeah.
Yeah, you have nice friends as well who you met over there.
Yeah. I mean, from the last
A
time.
lot of different cultures coming together.
Yeah.
From the last time we were here, we had made friends. That's the thing. We really like going to a place the second time. The first time you make friends, the second time you actually enjoy with them.
Yeah.
So-
second time you
Yeah.
know your favorite spots, the things you want to do again. So you feel a little more like a local. Now the only
Yeah.
thing that is detracting from our experience is not knowing Spanish properly. Like we know enough to talk about the food, but we don't know the grammar to connect the words. So it always sounds like saying me want salsa. So it sounds kind of not good. So we want to really learn the language so we can talk to locals and get to know more.
So the other thing is like that's why we want to do this 1 year experience in Japan, but we want to do it with knowing the language.
or at least a little bit of the
Oh,
language.
yeah.
So we started learning. that's a long way to get there. But
Yeah, it's a long way. I started learning Japanese like 4 years ago, and I'm still trying. Yeah, I'm still getting there.
it's very encouraging.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can definitely do it. It's not that hard. I think especially like grammatically, like since we know like Hindi,
Yeah.
the grammar structure is very similar to Hindi, so it's easier for me to learn. So I think even it won't be that hard for you.
Yeah, one of the people who follow us saw that we are trying to learn Japanese, and she is a Japanese teacher in Bangalore, and she works in the
wow.
Japanese consulate. So she reached out and started taking classes. It's halted for now, but yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
back to it someday.
That's
soon.
amazing. Yeah.
Have you guys been
Maybe
able to?
our journey.
I'm sorry, you're saying
Sorry?
something?
Yeah, our journey started with Japanese class as well. We both met in the
Yeah.
Japanese class we took together after our 10th board exams were done.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk to each other for the entire start of the class, and then one day finally we started talking, and then we realized both of us liked anime, and then from there it went on.
That's true.
Like when we started traveling, we started meeting people, and we have met so
Yeah.
many people, so many Indians who got attracted to just the Japanese culture at a very young age, and they started like learning,
Yeah.
taking Japanese and up. Like we are 32, 33. We are, I guess, the next generation, like your previous generation. So we had no exposure to Japan, like growing up. So
And also, we feel that after traveling in Asia a bit, we feel that say Thailand is on very good terms with Vietnam, or Thailand is on very good terms with Korea, so they know each other's pop culture, they know what's happening. Like if a Korean show or a star came to Thailand or Vietnam, they would be really into it, and they have that cultural exchange is happening among the Asian countries. But I feel like India is a little isolated from the rest of Asia.
Oh, definitely.
I agree,
Definitely.
100%. I don't know
Unless-
why that happens. Yeah.
Unless
Because
you go and
we-
put yourself there,
We
you
need-
will not know what's happening. We know a little
Yeah.
bit, like in terms of watching anime or watching Korean shows and BTS and stuff like that. We know a little bit, but that we only know that because they are the most popular exports of these countries.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
exactly.
if it wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't have known at all, right? So
We need to be more open as a country.
yeah,
we
exactly.
need to accept other cultures exist.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
And the
controversy.
Indians want to fight with every other country around
Yeah.
them. That's my only problem with them.
Yeah, by the
It's
way,
like any country, and especially the China hate going on right now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
by the way, when we were in Taiwan, we ended up in Jufen, which is the place which made Miyazaki.
The Miyazaki movie Spirited Away
Yeah.
is inspired
Oh,
by
wow.
that place. But according to
Oh,
Miyazaki
wow.
himself, it's not. He says it's not. But that place is
Yeah.
exactly like the movie Spirited Away. All the food that you get and all like the entire
Oh my
cliffside and everything, it's exactly the same. So we are like, we have to eat our way through this movie. It was amazing.
And how was that? It's amazing, right? It looks exactly like the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So the
it's,
film
but
is
it's
about
in Taiwan.
food. Like the film is this girl's parents, they become so
Yeah, yeah.
greedy
Yeah,
and
I'm sure they
they
will know.
become gluttons. So she has to go rescue them from the spirit world. Yeah. So we did that. We did the glutton thing.
That is amazing, yeah. I think Taiwan is also like a really good place. I've been wanting to go there for a while, you know. I really like the food, especially.
Sid, I think you should go to Japan first, and then we
Yeah,
can
I'm
think
going to
about
Japan
Taiwan
first,
and other
yeah.
countries.
No, but now I was saying they talked about the place that inspired Spirit Away, so
Yeah.
that's definitely on my list now. I'm adding it to my list today.
You can actually see a Spirited Away no face behind Sid right now.
Yeah.
If you can see his.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Taiwan is definitely a different experience from Japan. There's lot of similarities, but it's a different culture altogether. So
Yeah, it's a different culture. I think it's nice to find people that are like open and like that are traveling around the world, because even though there are a lot of people, it's very hard to find people here, you know. Because like we were talking about India being like very close-minded, like even if I talk to some like old relatives and I tell them something interesting, oh look at this cool thing in this country, the first thing they say is like, oh we have something similar in India, it's this, you know about that, right?
Yeah, that's
That's very common. They never appreciate it.
Yeah, that's very true of like a lot of Indians who I would say US would be the biggest example of this, that everyone kind of holds up in their community and they're not open to anything else at all.
Like people go to the US, but did you really go to the US because you are in the Indian community? Like everything happens in that community.
100%.
You never left the
You're just
bubble.
living in your own bubble.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So-
So for us, it's very important to like meet people. When we travel, we're like looking in these expat Facebook groups or any of these. Like you'll see these groups like Indians in Mexico or Indians in Japan Facebook groups, and you can always like before you go, you can make a friend or something before you like land in the city. So we always try to find people who are like interested in like, let's go explore like an izakaya together, or let's go meet somewhere else and or something like that. So we met this Indian couple in Japan and they're like, come to our house. So I asked them, is it like they lived in Tokyo, and I asked them, is it like a traditional house like with tatami and futons and stuff like that? And they said no, it's a regular apartment. So we're like, at least take us somewhere, take us to a nice spot where we're only here for 1 week, you live here, so you can do that. So one of our Japanese friends, we met him in Vietnam, and he said, when you come to Japan, you have to come to my house and we'll figure out some rent or something like that. So
We did stay in Tokyo. We did stay at his place, which was
that's amazing.
which was on the Tsukuba line.
yeah, and you could see the Tokyo Tower from his house. On a clear day, you could see the Tokyo Tower.
From Asakusa, it used to take like 35 minutes to get to the place. So it's like truly residential area, and then we got to stay there in his house.
And his house was like a nice mix of traditional and modern features. So
Like they have futons and tatami, but also like everything.
Like
else.
also, yeah, I think that's you had a really good experience then. You had the like you stayed in a proper house and everything. Yeah, very local, I would say.
I mean, he definitely made our Japan experience way better than what we would have managed to get if he had planned it by us.
And Diwali coincided with our stay in Tokyo with him. So we were like, okay, for Diwali we'll take you to an Indian restaurant in Japan and show you like Indian food. So we went to this Indian restaurant, and apparently there's a lot of Indian companies there, banks and companies. So this Tamil uncle has been running this restaurant for 25 years.
In Tokyo.
And we had like this bhindi sambar and things like that on a menu of a restaurant, which you wouldn't see in India itself.
Like
right?
dosa, rasam, sambar,
Vettu
koyambu, like all typical Tamilian dishes you could get in Tokyo in the center, beside the Tokyo
and
station.
the best part was the Japanese people, they really love Indian food with like any Indian side. Like they're not like, okay, we have to eat dosa only with aloo and chutney. They can eat dosa with shrimp curry or chicken curry or whatever. So the best part was to see the Japanese have dosa, idli and stuff with sake. It was amazing to see that. Even in India, we can't do that. In a dosa restaurant, you would never get alcohol, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. So
That sounds like something we need to try.
Yeah, so it was a nice experience to even see an Indian restaurant in Tokyo. We wouldn't have gone if it wasn't to show our friend some of the food.
You don't have to
I
put
want
the
to
disclaimer.
justify that.
Like you don't have to put a disclaimer why you went to an Indian restaurant. It's okay. Sometimes you can go to an Indian restaurant.
I like to show my
okay, that's
Japanese
fine.
friend.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah, usually like when you go, you want to experience the food of that place. But like it's nice to know, like now you know that they have this weird fusion, like Indian food with sake, like in Japan. Like it's still an experience.
Sid, you learn Japanese, take me around Japan, and I will help you navigate the menu of the
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for you, it's a great thing to go there because vegetarian food.
Yeah.
Right there for you.
And if you know a little bit of like words, or if you get it written from someone who knows
They
Japanese.
went to Japanese class.
Oh yeah, like
So-
yeah, exactly. You just write that, okay, I can't eat meat, or I'm not okay with this, and you show it to them.
Yeah.
They can kind of customize it for you if you are nice enough. Like we
You
were
are nice enough.
all you have to do is smile and be. All you have to Do smile and say thank you, and they're very like
Yeah.
a lot of them are very
Yeah.
open to it. Like
So my cousin who went there, he thinks he accidentally ate beef a couple of times. Yeah, he went to Coco Curry and had curry, and he was like, "Wow, this is delicious." And then I was like, that's, yeah. And he was like, they gave it so quick. They had my vegetarian option ready. I was like, they didn't. They did not have it ready.
we were in one of the places in some small town, and I think we were struggling to eat with chopsticks that time. And this guy, he saw us, and then he was like, wait, and then he somehow from somewhere, I don't know from where, they might have even gone to a shop and bought it, but they bought us forks to eat it.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. The people are very friendly.
Yeah.
Like whenever you see all these articles or videos like 10 things you must not do in Japan or stuff like that, like it make it sound so serious and stuff, but Japanese people are very welcoming
I'm sure
and very
there are people
appreciative
who are
of foreigners who are trying. Like obviously you can't be rude and eat in theplas in the metro, like we saw a couple of Indians eating theplas.
Wow.
Like it's not, it's if you're in the country, if you just follow the rules there and you
Yeah,
are,
exactly.
it's not
You
a
should
rule
respect
also,
where you
just
are.
have
Yeah.
that in your heart. There's nowhere that says don't talk in the metro or don't eat on the metro, but people just have it within them to do it, and that's what I think was one of the best things about
Yeah.
Japan for me.
Yeah, I mean that's what something sets it apart, the collectivism and thinking about others, thinking about nature. I think the world has lost it.
Yeah.
The only place it's there is in Japan.
Yeah.
I've not seen anywhere else. Maybe Taiwan, but
Okay.
that's it.
You guys have been all over the world, so if you're saying that, it must be really serious.
Yeah.
In general, the world has moved to very individualistic and selfish ideologies.
For
everywhere.
example, in Japan, they don't want you to walk around while eating. So if you just buy like
Tabeyaruki, they call it. Yeah. I've heard
So
of
if you
that.
buy like a sandwich or a drink or something, they prefer if you just sit somewhere and finish it or whatever. So we finished some of our food, but we had the trash with us, and we were just holding the trash and walking. And someone came out of a store and said, "You know what? I'll take your trash." And we're like, "What?"
Wow.
It's in India, we'd be like, "I'll throw it there." I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, they'll just throw it anywhere.
Yeah. So-
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
That they like to keep it clean and they basically help other people and show respect to like everyone around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like,
just the awareness around you. You are not just you are not the main. You're not the most main character.
That's sad.
You're not the. It's not. But that's how it is in Japan. Like it's not just you. It's about you and where you are.
Yeah.
So they are very aware of their surroundings and stuff. So
Yeah, that helps things
That also
function
sounds like
smoothly
an
also.
anime.
Like if
Sorry?
you're what?
That also
That also sounds like an anime.
Like if that helps like society function seamlessly, you know what I mean? Like everyone's in line, nobody's pushing, shoving. Things work on time. Like I'm sure you must have heard that the Japan trains are notorious for being on time right down to the second. Like if a train is late, the driver will stand in front of the carriage, and as everyone comes out, he will say sorry to each person. If the train is late by 2 seconds.
Yeah, even if they say that the train is late to your employer, they know if the train is late. It becomes a
you
big
can't say
part
it's
of the
just
news.
got
Yeah.
late.
Yeah, I heard they apologized once because they came a few seconds early or something.
Early, yeah.
Yeah. So in general, that collective mindset you don't see anywhere else in the world.
No, I actually saw a photo online of someone who had gone to a hotel, and they got a letter on their door saying, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but we will be fixing our hotel internet at 5 a.m. to 5:02 a.m. and we hope your services aren't discontinued." And I was like, really? In India, they'd be like, "Ho gaya, chalega. It's gone for the next 3 hours. You can't do
Yeah,
anything."
you're not getting.
That's definitely all that is the result of
And
being
I
aware
think
and
a
kind.
lot of things, of course, we Indians like to say it's because of our population. We are one of the biggest countries, and it's because of our population. Like a lot of things, I see a lot of people campaigning for like this forest that's going to be wiped out in Goa for a railway network.
Yeah.
But we have to develop, right? It's unfortunate, but the country
Yeah.
is developing at this rate. We should have thought of this like 40 years ago and decided not to have kids. But you can't tell anyone not to have kids, right?
Yeah, you can't do that in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
anti-natalism is becoming a very strong
feeling.
feeling in this country.
Yeah. So everything.
I hope these controversial statements take off and this episode goes viral.
And then they'll cancel us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like there are problems like Japan's aged population is increasing and there's not
Yeah.
enough youth in the country and stuff. There are drawbacks to it, but I think we could do with some sort of population.
That's the thing. The the way I see it is that Japan is a very old culture. India is a very old culture. Both the old cultures are set in its ways, which is not good. Can you find a middle ground?
Yeah.
Like when you modernize, can you find a middle ground where you take the best of both worlds?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to like use the foundations of the old culture and like
Yeah,
evolve
exactly.
and create new
Like
things.
nobody is
Exactly.
asking you to leave the old world. There are good things
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Take the good things and take the good things from the new world and make a new world. But that's very hard to
Yeah.
think about as a collective unit. So all the cons which you have from being a collective society are very bad cons for sure. But as an outsider, we can go observe and take the good things. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it always works. Like as when you're experiencing it, because in Japan, I think I heard like they'll never consider you like one of them. You'll always be an
Yeah.
outsider,
yeah.
right? I've heard.
So I mean that's
So-
true. That's true for that's what I was coming to. Like everywhere we have went, nobody considers you as their own, which is okay
Exactly.
because we don't.
Yeah.
We will not if someone else coming from the outside comes also. Like
Yeah.
we will accept them and everything, but they're still like, oh, you are from that country or something like that.
Yeah, but younger
But-
people are like very open to it. Like even
Yeah.
in Japan, our age people, they were very open to learning English and talking to you and to try to improve their English and stuff like that. So the youth is a little more open to like international experiences, meeting people and stuff like that. Like there are Japanese people who are married in like Mexico to other people, or we've seen like interracial
Yeah.
couples in Japan as well. So if you are married, I think you are one of each other's family cultures.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got in the families
family.
involved. So I feel that the older people might be a little closed off in Japan, but younger people are opening up to
Opening up.
foreigners.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is changing and it will keep changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Because I feel like Japan also, they are so focused on their language, and a lot of people don't know English till they get to college and they
Yeah.
learn, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of Japanese actually go to Philippines to learn English.
Oh,
So when I was there in this one island in Philippines, they're like, oh, it's full of English schools for Japanese people. So the
Oh,
friend,
that's crazy. Yeah.
so the friend that we met in the one we stayed with in Japan, his wife also went to Philippines to learn English.
Oh, wow.
So they go like every summer, they go learn and come back. So I feel like it's unfortunate, but because of the British, English is the unifying language of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
that is.
So that's why we hear of like Japan's crazy things, like oh, Japan has like these insane toilets, or Japan's train is like this, or and anime and stuff like that. But we don't we don't look at the people are so isolated from the rest of the world just because they don't know English.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like that way a lot of even Latin Americans, because they speak Spanish, they are isolated a bit. But that's changing now because of the internet and learning English. So English, we jokingly tell people that English is the money language.
Yeah, that is true. Like, because there are these, like, people have, like, because language is important for communication and people have built up their own cultures. So many small things you'll never know if you don't know the language. And even if, like, we both are talking to each other in English, we still know so many things in our own languages within India itself, right? Which are part of, like, our culture that, like, you'll never learn about. So I think that's where it's like an issue, like how much can someone understand about another person's culture even if they know English, you know? Because
really
Yeah.
can't speak their own languages, but they know English, and that's not good either. So that's
Yeah, that's true.
you have the challenge.
That's true.
I'm illiterate in Tamil, but I can speak good English.
So my mom is Tamilian, my dad is Kannadiga, and my mom is a Tamilian from Delhi. So I know bits of Tamil, Kannada, and I know Hindi fluently because I grew up in Delhi. And
Oh,
because
that's
my
cool. Yeah.
parents spoke to each other in Hindi and English, so I know Hindi and English are like my most fluent languages.
Oh, they are most fluent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still do you talk to each other in English or?
Yeah,
Because I don't know fluent Hindi and she doesn't
Ah,
know
I
fluent
see.
Kannada.
yeah.
So I am from Mysore. So
Okay.
we both talk to each other in English.
That works. Yeah. It makes sense. Even I talk to my brothers in English, but my parents I talk to them in Bengali because my parents are Bengali.
Yeah. It's the same. Like we talk to each other's parents in their language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But okay, so we want to ask you since it's an anime, like we talk a lot about
Yeah.
anime and we anime fans,
And
right?
you said you were too old for anime,
Yeah.
so we want to address that at least once.
We want to ask you, like, you all grew up like watching TV, right? As kids, you all must have come across anime.
Yes, my
You must have
first
seen something. Come on.
exposure to anime was like on Cartoon Network, Dragon Ball Z, and my
Yeah.
brother was
everybody
Yes.
is into Dragon Ball Z.
and my brother was really into it, so I was just watching it. Somehow it only was it was just at dinner time every night, so we would watch it. But then the thing that I really liked was the show that came after Dragon Ball Z, the Card Captors, Sakura.
Oh,
and
I
the
Card
love
Captor
that
Sakura.
show.
Yeah, I love that show
Amazing
because
show.
a lot of the other cartoons were all like boy focused, like all this Dexter's Lab me. Dee Dee was supposed to be the dumb sister, but the Dexter was the genius and stuff. So I really took to that show because it was about these two girls. They dress up and then they get these card thingies going. So it was like a very female focused show. I really enjoyed that. And
Yeah.
that was I think my first exposure. And then as I grew up, I was like into Miyazaki films because the music, the way it shows a slice of life in Japan,
Yeah.
like it captures that perfectly, the countryside in Japan and stuff. Even having not been there, you find it so beautiful. And when we went there, we were like, okay, he's not wrong. It's exactly like this. He's just using his entire life inspiration as the movie.
Have you guys watched Kimi no Nawa?
What?
Kimi no Nawa, Your Name?
Your
No,
name,
I'm not seeing
It's-
that.
It's Bruce's favorite anime. Just we talk about
Hey, I'm not saying it's my favorite anime,
Okay.
but I do like it a
No,
lot.
yeah.
I think you guys should definitely watch it before you go back to Japan.
Yeah,
Okay,
you should
no,
watch it before you
the
go
thing
back
is
to
like,
Tokyo,
okay,
especially.
my background in anime is very similar to her, like Dragon Ball Z and then Miyazaki films, that's it. So now the question for you guys is like, okay, if we want to get into anime now, where do we
Yeah.
start?
Oh,
You should listen to this podcast called Weeb 101.
you should listen. That's what we do. But you guys should definitely watch like Your Name. It's a film set in Tokyo. I think you all will absolutely love it. It's beautiful. And if you want to get into anime, right now the most popular show is called Demon Slayer, I think.
Demon Slayer.
So, yeah.
It's happening all over Japan as well.
It's like the
it's
biggest
called
thing in
Mugen
Japan
Train.
right now, you know, the movie and everything. It's really big. But I think you like slice of life, right? You like that genre a lot. So there are some, I think Ghibli movies are like a very good introduction, but you should check out like directors like Satoshi Kon, Mamoru Hosoda. Like they have some really amazing films like Paprika. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's like one of my favorite Japanese films. You should definitely check it out. Yeah. That's what we would recommend.
There's also Death Note. You guys
Yeah.
must have heard of
Yeah.
Death Note
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, my brother used to watch it. Like they write someone's name and they in the notebook and then
Oh yeah.
Yes. You should definitely watch Death Note if you don't remember it because it's an amazing show.
It is,
It's,
yeah.
it's I mean, I know, from the way you said it, you seem to think that you had outgrown anime, but this is an anime that will really make you.
For me personally, I do feel like I've outgrown anime. but I don't mind.
But we haven't outgrown animated movies, right?
I mean, yeah. So
we
I
can-
don't mind to like get back into it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So Death Note is like a very adult, dark story. It's not a
Yeah.
small, fun story.
Me personally, I never got exposed to anything Japanese growing up. It was all like as an
Yeah.
adult, you got to know about these things, and then
Yeah.
you get fascinated. So you guys have a different experience with your relationship with Japan than I and even Ruchi. Like we've never got exposed to Japan as kids. Like it's only as an adult you start to appreciate these things. So and
Yeah,
so
but it's nice that you're all like enjoying these now. You know. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Also, I would recommend a film called A Letter to Momo. So it's this film that's set in like this beautiful Japanese countryside town by the sea, and it's about like Japanese yokai, ghosts and stuff. So it's a very interesting movie, and I think you all will like it. Like
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
you
we'll
love
send
the
everything to
fantasy.
you.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the video description, send it to you. You can see all these recommendations.
Yeah.
And also, like people who are listening, like you should definitely check out their channel, especially their like Hokkaido
Yes,
series,
please.
their Japan series, like what they're doing in
I mean,
Mexico.
even
right
if it's
now.
not just the Japan
Yeah.
series, the amount of traveling these guys do is
It's
crazy.
crazy, yeah.
Look at everything.
Follow like what they're doing in Mexico now, and like whatever they do in the future, because even like we'll be following it.
Yeah, we'll be watching.
yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much for the shout out.
This 6 months in Mexico, like from March to now, is like 7 months. This is the longest we have stayed in a single place in the past 4 years. So we're like, wow, this feels
Wow.
really different. We got on a rice cooker and things that we would have never bought while we were traveling.
Actually, like we talked about a lot of Japan influence in Mexico, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of background and lot of content there, stories there to tell. We are planning. We always wanted to do a series on like Japan and Mexico. I think this is the right place to announce that we might actually do something
Yeah.
with like live series.
Oh,
where
wow.
it's where like
Wow.
from the Japan perspective, like Mexico through the Japanese perspective.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Like, there's an onsen here right outside of Mexico City.
Rokyan.
Rokyan here, and there's a Japanese. One of the biggest thing is here during March there is this Jacaranda trees which have these purple flowers. They
I
bloom.
think there is Jacaranda in India also, no? A little bit. The purple flowers, the long purple flowers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the Japanese government basically gifted like a bunch of Jacaranda trees to Mexico, and they planted
Yeah.
everywhere in Centro, and it looks like how it would look like during the cherry blossom season
Yeah, but
in Japan,
a different
but
color.
a different
Wow.
tree and a different color.
I have a picture. Let me show you.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that does look beautiful. Oh my god, that looks like Japan.
Yeah.
So this happened because Japanese government like gifted like a bunch
Yeah.
of Jacaranda trees to Mexico. So there's a lot of like Japan Mexico like fusion, which we can explore now that we know someone who is Japanese, second generation Japanese living in Mexico. So we can get some things out. Actually, there is a show, right? That show which you talked about, which explored Japan and Mexico influence.
Not a show, just an article.
It's an article, okay. So
Okay.
You guys can make the show.
Yeah. It'll be your show.
Fingers crossed. Yes.
So
No,
yeah.
but that is cool. Yeah. We will be definitely like
Yeah, we'll
following
be
it.
looking forward
And
to that.
I think it's really good news. It's really exciting for us to find like Japanese influences around the world, especially Mexico where we are right now.
So if you want, that,
Also,
you should
if you're going to Japan, you need to tell us on Instagram before you go.
Yeah.
It's a rule.
Yeah.
Now that you have come on this
Definitely.
podcast,
And
you have
if
to
we
tell
go for
us.
a longer time, and if you guys can plan to come, we always
Yeah.
make sure. I don't know if it's possible in Japan, but any other country, we always make sure to get a 2-bedroom apartment. So we always invite friends to just come crash with us for a bit. I don't know if 2-bedroom
Oh, wow.
apartments are affordable in Japan, but
But we shall see.
Yeah.
And even if you'll go, when you'll come back, we're doing a part 2 of this podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
yes, for
I mean,
sure.
Like every visit to Japan means one extra podcast.
Yeah.
and we will make sure
Episode.
that by that time we'll know more about anime.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and we make
Oh,
some
if you-
progress with
we will help
the
you.
language with our sensei.
Yeah.
So
In
another
fact, even if you don't like anime, Sid and I fight all the time about what we hate and what we
Yeah.
don't hate about certain things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
We try
anything is
not
fine.
to-
Any opinion flies.
We try not to get into watching things because especially this pandemic, we have seen that if we start watching something, we are going to binge till like 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
it's becomes very unproductive for us. So we decided we'll not watch anything
Yeah.
that's not a documentary or something that is like research, like maybe Anthony Bourdain show or a food
Yeah.
show is like research for us. So
Yeah.
we decided we're not going to watch things like movies and shows, which I think is really good for our sanity.
Well, I think that's going to change with death.
Yeah. So one thing I really like to do is like there are these lo-fi Japanese playlists, anime inspired
Oh, yeah,
playlists
yeah.
on YouTube. They're like 1 or 2 hours, and I love having them in the background. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think even our like producer Aditya, when he listens to them while working, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are pretty cool actually. You know, you can keep them on in the background
Yeah.
and concentrate on what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sid, wasn't it Nujabes who started the lo-fi
Yeah, Nujabes. He's
That's
actually a
fine. He's a
Japanese producer.
producer?
I thought it was.
He
He's a
worked
producer.
on, and he's the one who technically started the whole lo-fi movement. Like he worked on the music for like anime like Samurai Champloo and stuff, which is like very popular. And unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but he technically started the whole lo-fi movement that's going on right now. Yeah, you should listen to his music. I think you'll really like it.
Yeah. And then there are these food in anime accounts on Instagram. So they curate all the food related, any scene which has food in it, they curate on an Instagram feed. I really enjoy those. A lot of them are run by Filipinos.
Oh,
Yeah. So I really enjoy watching like the food in anime. It's actually very, very accurate. Like the way they make ramen
Yeah.
or a
oh,
sandwich.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the plastic food models that they
Yeah.
had, which
Yeah.
look like amazing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so realistic.
So one tip we have to anyone who is going to Tokyo is like go to this place called Afuri Ramen. It's a chain in Tokyo. They have they are like a modernized ramen place. It's incredible. Right?
Yeah, that was one of the best ramen. Just for that place alone, I could go back to Tokyo.
That's the second breakfast recommendation.
Yeah.
And
For
then
your
go to
second
a
breakfast.
konbini for second breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will take that to heart. I will go to the combini no matter what.
Yeah.
I was anyway going to do it, but since you guys have said, I'm definitely going to
Yeah,
do it.
definitely.
Go there, eat whatever I can, give all the meat to Sid, and then
I
Drink
think
the
they
broth.
have a vegan one. I think they have a vegan broth option. Afuri.
Oh, wow.
Because they are like
Afuri has a vegan broth option.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Oh, then that's where you're going, bro.
this company. Yes, I'm going.
Yeah.
Well, you need to come. You're the one who's going to be helping me guide
my
my way through.
Yeah, you guys live stream that, and we will join you in chat.
Yeah.
And if we are
Yes.
not in the same place,
Yeah, it'd be really cool if our trips coincided
Yeah,
somehow.
that would be amazing.
Because we are planning somewhere in 2021, 22 around that time.
you should
But
start
I
live
think that's
streaming in
pushed because of COVID.
pandemic.
But I think it's
in
delayed,
Bombay.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, there should be some. Like we always think about this. There's always like a foreigner who settles in Japan or some other country. They makes
Yeah.
it their adopted home, and then they really show you a lot about their culture. Like for the Abroad in Japan channel, there's
Yeah.
we feel like there should be really something like that in India, made by an Indian. Because
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of hidden, like, nature, food, everything
Yeah.
can explode,
and every region, like every 200 kilometers, I'm sure the cuisine would change. So we'll never run out
Yeah,
of topics in
that's
India.
true.
That would be amazing to see in India. Like India that is shown not through a foreigner's eyes. Like, of course, when you show it through a foreigner's eyes, everyone is super kind to you, and it's all like
Yeah.
the flavors, the food, everything so colorful, so vibrant. I'm so tired of hearing the word vibrant when
Yeah.
describing India. That's just overdone.
Yeah, the thing is, we have a lot of Indian channels, but we need an Indian travel channel that has an international audience, not a local
Yeah.
Yeah,
audience.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important.
yeah.
And I think you guys can do that. You know, you're
Yeah.
planning to do some trips around India, right? Explore something.
Yeah.
Maybe if we come next year and if we are in India for a while and we can't travel abroad, we might consider doing that. At least for South India, I
Yeah, I
feel
think if
like
you guys already have fans from across the world, they'll be really interested to see India. Because India is considered a mystical place by everyone. It's so
Yeah.
close to.
So we want to just move away from that eat, pray, love vibe of India, and we really want to show them that there's no elephants and there's no like yoga and
Yeah.
everything. Bombay is
Oh,
one
please.
of the world-class cities, financial capital of India. We have like we are developing. So there's so much youth culture to explore in India, which I feel like people don't care about. They just it's either like this one image of Rajasthan or one image of Taj Mahal or Kerala.
Oh, definitely, yeah,
yeah.
always. It's the same stuff again and again.
Yeah, but like look at startup culture in India, or just look at how cities in Delhi, Hyderabad, Bombay are, right? So there's a lot of scope to present India in that light. I feel like also there's in terms of influencer culture in India, the top influencers are either North Indians or from Bombay. So I'd love to see some representation from like Calcutta or the South for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone top is like from Bombay, right?
And even all the food people talk about is mostly North Indian, except most people outside know dosa, but that's the only thing they know from the South, right?
South Indian food is not well known
Yeah.
at all.
So whenever we ask our Mexican friends, do you want to try Indian food? We always try to get them like some South Indian stuff that they wouldn't. They're like, we've never heard of this. We thought Indian food was just like biryani and chicken tikka and stuff like that.
So we made a video like where we made Mexicans try South Indian food.
Oh yeah. I think
Oh, wow.
I know. You're doing a series, right, where you're making foreigners try like Indian food.
Yeah, so for Diwali, we are thinking we're going to get some Indian sweets and we're going to make Mexicans try Indian sweets. And Mexicans love
Definitely
sugar,
good.
so I think India
That
and
would also be a very
Mexico.
nice gesture to everybody you're inviting, because they'll be touched that you're including them in your
Yeah. I
culture
mean,
as well.
and the Mexicans love Indian food anyway.
Yeah, Mexico and
sugar.
India is
Yeah.
in competition like diabetes championship.
Yeah, and we have like the world of sweets in India is like infinite. We have like so many different sweets.
Yeah.
Like even we ourselves haven't explored all of it, you know.
Yeah, don't explore it in one go.
No, like not even talking about the whole country. There's a sweet shop near my house, and I went there with my sister today to buy something else, and she was like, "Wow, look at all the sweets." And I just looked at like, "This is normal. This is just normal sweets."
Yeah.
And then she makes me turn the other way, and there's an entire store has been filled with boxes and boxes of different types of sweets for Diwali. My God, it was shocking just to see it, even though I've been in India all my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I really enjoy.
You guys have stepped out of the country?
to Japan
Yeah,
I have not.
in the
No,
pandemic.
not-
No, general.
So I studied in Singapore for a year, and then I worked in Portugal for a year. So those are the only two places I've lived in. But I agree with y'all there, because like I haven't been anywhere for like a short amount of time. Since I've been in these two places for a year, I've really like, you know, experienced the culture, you know, stayed with the locals, learned a lot about the language, the place, everything. So I that's why I really like what y'all are doing, because I believe to experience a place you need to stay there for a long time and, you know, actually mingle with the locals, you know, get into the culture.
Yeah, for me, I feel like we stay long enough to experience all the good and
Yeah.
get out before
not
we
bad.
start experiencing the bad.
Yeah.
But if you really want to experience the bad, you need 2 years.
Yeah.
2.5
You need
years.
2
like
years.
this.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need
I
to feel
think
the whole experience
what
of
it
the-
feels like to have
Yeah.
bureaucratic things going on. We are like
Yeah.
we don't have to when we come for 3 months. We mostly if you have any issue to be sorted out, like if we don't have a local card and we want our friend to buy us something online or something, you know one person who can do it for you. So you haven't really gotten into much problems.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
don't know the language, you just ask your friend, translate this, help me out and stuff. So you need to spend a year or two and just face what the locals feel. Because you can, of course, you can say that, oh, I'm living like a local in Mexico, but
You're not.
but I'm
Yeah.
not.
So-
I'm
No, but yeah, exactly.
But you guys enjoy the unknown, right? Like going into some place that you're exactly, yeah.
We thrive on that, like every day. Every day we get to discover something new and with each other. So even if the language isolates us, we have each other. So we're not that cut off or lonely or anything, and then we really have fun together. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But okay,
a-
that looks like a good place to end it for this episode. Because we have we try to keep our episodes 1.5 hours long, and we've gone 1 hour 51
yeah, I
minutes
think
so
it was
far.
really fun. That's why we
Yeah,
just
it was
lost track of
it's
time.
fun, and we just kept going. Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
That's what.
Catching
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Next time we shall come aimed with more info about traveling, and you guys come aimed with more info about anime, and we'll have an even longer discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what you can do? Indians are allowed in Mexico right now. You should. And just come on. The visa. You guys have US visa?
I don't have
No,
any
no.
visas. In fact, I don't even have a visa to get out of my house right now. It's not okay with me.
What is the Mexican visa like?
There's no embassies open. So.
Yeah, it's very hard, especially in Mumbai right now. It's almost impossible
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
out anywhere. Yeah.
Like if you had the US visa, you could just come from the Vande Bharat flight to the US and just come to Mexico. They'll be like, welcome. They don't care about anything as long as you have.
Yeah, it's definitely something we'll explore once the situation dies down, you know.
Yeah.
But right now we just have to. We're just here
hopefully
every
we meet in
weekend
Japan.
talking
That's
to
my-
each other. Yeah.
That's my aim. Anyway, let's be in touch as well. Please do let us know about whatever you're doing, and we shall check out your channel to keep updated. And
Yeah.
let us know if you're going. If there's any fun place. I love to cook. He loves to travel. We love to know more about other cultures as well. So, and
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on the
you
podcast
so much.
today.
Yeah, it was really nice, guys.
And if you need any help, we are there to help you in whichever way we can.
Yeah.
Yes, no problem at all. Yeah, we love. You can just start a call. Call us on Discord. We can chat about anime all day long.
All
We
day,
both are
yeah.
ready.
It's gonna be nice, yeah. Looking forward. What?
It's nice that you guys are doing your part to bridge the cultural gap that we talked about. That you are talking about anime and
Thank you.
Japanese culture.
Our hope is that it's going to be enough because right now we are at a very small point, and we hope to reach more people.
We got we are your guinea pigs.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you. I think it's
we shall-
really been and we're also looking forward to your Japan trip definitely.
Yes.
Your long one. Yeah.
Hey, and if you come to India for your India trip, you want to do something, we are here. Mumbai, we can help you out.
Yeah, we'll definitely end up in Mumbai at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, that was a nice episode. And
Yeah.
we
Guys,
forgot to
go
say
check
our
out
names in
Second
the beginning
Breakfast.
again, bro.
Oh yeah, we didn't say our names.
We always forget that. But yeah, I'm Sid and that's Brew. And we had Second Breakfast, so definitely check them out. Go follow them. They're doing amazing stuff. And Brew, you can.
Okay, now I feel conscious because I'm doing it in front of other people. But
Everyone's looking at you.
I usually just say sayonara.
Come on, do the outro, man.